And then, oh, you can just leave them a house, a car, and personal assets instead of the money. And well, all right. What if they already have a house at that point, or they already have a car? Well, then those assets have to be sold and the money spent down. Myths and folk remedies. All right. I hear this all the time, and this is why this confusion that's out there can just kind of cripple people, because these myths make them feel like they can't do anything, and that's just not true. It has to be done the right way. But the myths that are out there, oh, you have to cut out a special needs child from your estate because they can't handle it. They can't handle getting that inheritance. You don't have to leave money directly to a special needs beneficiary so that the money goes into their pocket and now they get to spend it however they want. You don't have to do it that way. And I often hear, well, we just need to not leave them anything. Okay. Another myth is that an inheritance equals a spend down in order to keep benefits. Now, that was that story I told right at the beginning. They had to spend that money down and buy things that were within the rules, and they had to do it really quickly, and then the money was gone. It couldn't have been put aside. That's not true. You don't have to do it that way. This next one, you have to leave the inheritance to a special fund. Unfortunately, I've seen and had a couple of clients with special needs beneficiaries discuss, oh, there's this organization, we just leave all the money to their trust, and then they will use that money on behalf of our special needs beneficiary so that they're handling it. Well, look, that's a business. You're essentially leaving your money to a business. And the ones that I saw that really kind of turned me off, they offered all of these different kinds of services, not just handling the money for the benefit of the beneficiary, but they provided occupational counseling. They provided physical therapy, all these other services. And it was left in their discretion to pay themselves for these services as much as they wanted. So if they thought they needed 10 hours a week of occupational counseling and therapy, whether they needed it or not, then they would get to take the money out and put it in their own pocket and pay themselves. And I said, oh, well, wait a minute. You don't have to leave money to a special fund with an outside organization. This can all kind of be done in your own trust. Now, some folk remedies that are out there, they end up being really ineffective, and I'll let you know why. Oh, we're just going to leave everything to another child or the other children, and they'll look after their siblings. So let me set up this example. 2 children, one of them is a special needs beneficiary. They're receiving benefits. Medicaid is their health insurance. Getting an inheritance would cut that off, so we're going to leave it all to the other sibling, and then they can use the money for them. What happens if that sibling dies? Is their widow or widower going to use that money in the same way that their deceased spouse would have, the way your kid would have? Are they going to honor that agreement even though it's not expressly put in writing in any way? What happens when this surviving spouse has college tuition payments for their own kids and they don't have the money, and that money that you left is in their account now because they inherited it from your deceased child? Are they going to do that? There's no guarantee. There's no guarantee that they're just going to do that. Okay, another, and I consider this a folk remedy. oh, just leave it into a D4A trust. Now, I'll talk about that later, and you're definitely going to get the sense that I don't like D4A trusts. I want to be clear and accurate. I don't like D4A trusts as the first thing that you jump to, and we'll talk more about that. And then, oh, you can just leave them a house, a car, and personal assets instead of the money. And well, all right. What if they already have a house at that point, or they already have a car? Well, then those assets have to be sold and the money spent down. So it's the same as if you just left them the money. If they're only allowed one personal residence and one car. What if the limits on the equity for a house drop? We're going to get to an example where that did happen and suddenly there was more money that had to be spent. That folk remedy of, well, let's look at what the rules are now when we do the planning and not look at the general planning principles. We're going to look at these specific numbers and rules and plan now. That could lead to disaster. And we've got a story coming up about that.